For August 13th, 2015, this is the Pebkac Podcast, episode 27, Microsoft Who?
Hello and welcome to the Pebkac Podcast. My name is Thomas.
I'm Dan.
I'm Shane.
And I'm Mike.
And a few things are a little different here. I have a feeling it's going to sound a little different because we are back in the original recording space. We've moved around a little bit. We've been remote, but we're back. And hopefully it sounds good.
We've escaped the basement and we've returned to headquarters.
Yes, we've returned to headquarters. We've returned to... I don't know. I wish this room was just a little bit bigger. Or maybe not even just bigger, but just don't have the diagonal wall or whatever here.
Where the door is?
Yeah. Like, don't have a door. We could come in through the window.
It's true.
Or just square it off.
Or
I'll have to talk to my general contractor.
Little doggy door or
I
something.
don't have a contractor. Talk to my dad. All right. Well, Mike's here. Everyone heard his name. You remember Mike from one of the early episodes of the Pebkac Podcast, like episode, 7 or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Mike's back, and...
Sound excited about it, why don't you?
He scared the shit out of me.
I did.
Walked up to the window, and here Shane's like, look outside. I thought it was like a bee or something that was hovering by me, and no,
Like
it's just
behind you.
creepo.
And he's like, huh?
Yeah.
What? Ah!
And I knew he was coming. I figured someone was going to do something with the window. I don't know why, but whatever.
I'm a creeper like that.
All right. Big news today. So this isn't the big news, but I recently started using Feedly because I felt too far out of the loop with everything. So when you set up a new account on Feedly, they're like, what blogs do you want to follow? And they're like, you want to follow Engadget, you want to follow Boing Boing, you want to follow TechCrunch, you want to follow, every one of the big ones. I'm like, fuck it, just follow. And I read through about 50 or 60 posts per each one today. And on each one of the feeds I was following, Windows 10 and Mac bootcamp support was released. Oh,
I suppose this is all the feeds you're following are all a little bit Mac-centric.
No, actually, I only follow two Mac-centric ones, 9to5Mac and Mac Rumors.
Okay.
And 9to5Mac
Who else was reporting on it, first off?
Engadget and Boing Boing.
They're pretty Mac. Oh, God. Come on.
They're
Engadget would fillet
technologists.
Steve Jobs' cock if he came back from dead.
Well, yeah.
Engadget would be like, oh, iPhone.
Engadget would fillet anyone's dick for a story in this day and age.
They'd be like, so, Mr. Ballmer, we understand that you have a new Windows version.
No one cares about Ballmer. It's all I don't know.
I don't think that he's actually around anymore.
Yeah, I know. I was just,
Yeah.
I don't know the new guy's name. So
Eli Patel.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Eli? Is it Nili or Eli?
Not Eli.
I think it's Nili. Nili Patel.
I thought it was Nial or Nial Patel, something like that.
Okay,
Yeah,
Google.
he's back.
Who's the CEO of Microsoft right now?
Thought it was Satya Nadella.
He's got it.
There you
He's
go.
right.
Vanity Fair. In some ways, Bill Gates, founder and first CEO
Dude, turn your shit off.
It is
Well,
Satya.
way to go on that one, Google.
It's right there. Seeing as Satya.
Yeah, but it's going on about Bill Gates and
Yeah.
blah, blah,
No,
whatever.
Dan's got it. He's
Give me the
right.
instant
All right,
answer.
you're right.
I forget who Eli is, though.
I don't know who
That
that is.
sounds familiar.
It does sound really
Nial
familiar.
or Nihal Patel.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, sounds
He's
very
something.
familiar.
Anyway.
No, this has got me really, I don't want to say the term excited, but interested because I had the technical preview of Windows 10 and then I had a VM of Windows 10, and I actually really do like the operating system.
Okay.
But with it running in a virtual machine, you can only get so much
Right.
out of it. So installing it on the base hardware, I'm really excited to try. Now, the post I was reading said something about the supported Macs, and the iMac late 2012 is the latest or the furthest back iMac that's supported, and I have a mid 2012.
Okay.
I crossing my fingers that it'll work.
That
you know?
you're late mid enough to...
Right. I mean, does 4 months really make a difference is kind of what I'm hoping is not the case.
Apple's got some funky hardware revisions.
So-
We were talking to Eli or Levi about that, remember?
Yeah, you're
and
right.
he's like, a month difference is like whether or not I get to run an NVIDIA card or something like that.
So I'm hoping it's just like, the stock one only came with like so much memory or something because I just did the 16 gig upgrade with that beast. Or no.
I think a lot of it has to do with
32
processing
gig
inside,
upgrade.
isn't it?
I think it's a BIOS, actually. I seriously
that
think
what it is?
they fuck with them to no end, like different levels of EFI or something like that, where they just don't play well. So
I'm going to try it no matter what because I've got a Windows 7 VM on there that I need to rebuild regardless, just because it's
so
I didn't partition right, and
But-
you can't repartition the drives.
if you can run Windows
afterwards.
7, what's stopping you from running Windows 10 onto the same interface?
The updated driver support that comes
Okay,
out of
so it's
Bootcamp.
just drivers. So theoretically,
Well, so they did some really nice stuff. The biggest one is the Bluetooth drivers were updated.
okay,
And everyone who runs Bootcamp knows that Bluetooth is shoddy at
Okay.
best with any Bluetooth devices. So
Yeah.
I really want to wear a headset when I'm using my Bootcamp partition, because the only time I'm using Bootcamp partition is if I'm playing a game.
okay.
And I don't want to have to carry, because I bring these studio headphones or earbuds,
Sure.
right? So I'll hopefully give that a shot and see how it goes.
So it's just driver support, though. There's not like a boot preventer or anything like that.
I don't
that's
think there's
hanging
any
above.
like a physical limitation or anything.
Okay, so-
I'll do some more reading and find out.
So
if
it's just
they
a
can do
handful
it.
of hardware specs that might be different. So you might have like a different Bluetooth card or a different graphics.
Probably,
But
I mean everything in
graphics
this
is well
thing is
supported,
all
yeah.
like universal Intel hardware, right?
Right.
It's not anything proprietary in that whole thing. Like
Yeah.
I've watched so many teardown videos now, and it's
Yeah.
everything in there is like, off the shelf, right? So-
Exactly.
Except for like the motherboard, or they call it the logic
board,
But
yeah,
Yeah, but
I
it's still
mean,
using a lot of really common
Yep.
EFI stuff out of Intel's
all the
warehouse
chips and
anyway.
everything.
Yeah.
Yep, it's all pretty much standard.
Well, yeah, I mean it's an i5 Haswell processor, not Haswell. What's the revision
old.
before Haswell? Or maybe it was.
It's a long time ago.
It was
Yeah, I
2012
don't
is when
remember.
I bought that thing. I'm not gonna buy a new one. There's no reason to
It
buy.
was
a
like
new
the
one.
origin of the iSeries stuff, right? The first iSeries stuff.
Haswell
Well, I
was
mean,
the second.
Even
revision.
Sandy
Right.
Bridge is a long ass time ago.
Was it? Yeah,
Yeah, it
Sandy
was-
Bridge was the.
All right,
There was
I'll
Sandy
double
Bridge
check
and there was
later.
Ivy Bridge and
Sandy Bridge
the
was
latest ones I
before
remember.
Haswell, I want to say.
Yes, that
Yeah.
sounds all right. Okay, so I'll give it a shot, and I'll be honest, I was a little leery about giving Windows 10 a go. Again, like on an actual
Yep.
quote unquote production build, right? Because I was going to be putting out a machine that I would be using frequently, because of all of the setup things that you have to watch out for.
Yeah.
And I was listening to the episode you guys recorded, and I was yelling at the car stereo about the updates, or not the updates, about the updates. How you said you could not turn them off. I'm like, no, unless you're running Enterprise Edition,
Okay,
you can't turn off.
so
the
that's a
updates.
difference because I am running an Enterprise
I
Edition.
knew you can. So
right.
basically, the automatic updates is a feature of Windows 10 that cannot be disabled on any consumer version of the operating
Okay.
system. You can suspend them. You can say no
Yeah.
all the time, but it's going to keep popping up like every time you reboot. Hey,
So,
you gotta update. You got to update. Time to
I'm-
update. Shane, update.
Gonna be honest, I'm pretty okay with that.
Yeah,
Because power users are gonna get the pro version or whatever because they're
it's
gonna.
not Pro though. It's Enterprise.
It is Pro now. It is Windows 8 or it is Windows 10 Pro versus Windows 10. Those are the monikers
10.
that they're using.
versions.
Yep.
I got to double
There's
check that.
Just 2 versions. Thank Christ we're narrowing this
Editions.
down. Editions, whatever they want to
Was
call
it Windows Vista where they had like 9 different
7 had a
versions?
bunch too.
Vista had it. Yeah.
Vista,
What
I
was
think,
it? It
was the
was
first one that
Home
brought that
Basic,
up.
Home
Okay, so they have
Premium,
Core and they have Business.
Pro, Ultimate,
Yeah.
Ultimate, and then there was N versions of a half of those things.
Well, that was just for specific countries.
Right. But
But
I
still,
actually had one in
they-
the end. I run the N version. I like the N
I know
version.
because it's on TechNet and everyone has it because it strips out all the media player crap.
Yep. So,
All right, so
Uh,
the vast majority of people are going to have the basic edition.
Correct.
What happened was people are getting this update automatically.
Yes.
And on the most of the machines that were getting it were crashing because it would get to like 59%, got to reboot, start up again,
right.
update.
Yeah, I remember
59%,
hearing about this.
And it's like this endless reboot, right? So I was just double checking here to find out like what update it was, and yeah, here it is. So KB3081424. Anyway, so supposedly this has been fixed. So I'm just sort of hoping that that's the case, but I'm also sort of nervous that if you're pushing updates to my machine and something does break it, like you happen to break this Bluetooth support that I just got, right?
Right.
I mean, Windows Update has never broken
So-
some piece of software or hardware that you've had, right? That's never happened to you, has it, Shane? Has a
Um,
Windows Update ever made your parallel or USB scanner not work? Your gamepad stop functioning?
has made my Wi-Fi being unreliable.
I
at
mean, let's
times.
think about this, okay? If they're going to push these out and you have no say over it, if I hear on
Yeah.
a blog that there's a problem with that update, I might not get that service pack.
I think you can exclude drivers from the service from the updates, though.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
See, I actually pulled the trigger on another machine last night. I did.
Took it outside and shot it.
No, I Windows 10'd it, which
Same thing.
might be the same thing. We'll see.
Time will tell on that one.
I don't know why I was like, man, it's 10:30 at night. This feels like a great time to start a Windows 10 install.
Dude, what do you think I'm doing when you guys are leaving?
Maybe I
right
had
here?
a few beers.
I'm going to
Yeah,
have a
well,
couple more
that's
beers and I'm going to put Windows 10 on
Yeah.
that thing.
So it was like
Yeah.
12:30. No, I think it was like 11 o'clock when I started. It was like 12:30 before the thing was like, okay, you can log back in. And by that time, I was like, yeah, I could, but I could also shut this and go to bed.
Why do you have Why do you have more than one machine?
Why do you have more than one machine?
Touche.
Doesn't everyone have?
I was
more
going to
than
answer
one
that question
machine?
after you answer that.
You realize who we are talking to here,
All
correct?
right, let's get a quick count here. Number of physical and virtual machines in your possession.
Currently
Get a quick
active
count.
or
Hold on.
physically present.
What defines a machine?
Yeah.
An operating system installation.
Okay.
So are we
Virtual or
talking
physical?
things that we log into on a daily basis?
I'll give
Or
you
altogether.
Come on, we got to narrow this here because this could be a wide spectrum.
7-day login. 7-day login window I'll give you.
7-day login.
Yep.
What, like
So-
based on web services that are hosted on the machine, or
Got to
actual
log into the
machine?
desktop.
Okay.
RDP
All right.
or console is acceptable. You
All
don't have
right.
to be physically connected to it. Let's get a quick count here. Everyone at home, play this game with us too. How many machines do you access on a regular basis? It could be work computer, it could be home, it can be virtual machine, it can be server operating system that you log
Okay.
into somewhat actively.
I'm not counting work VMs because those are
Mobile devices like cell phones and
that's just
iPads don't
hard
count.
to.
Desktop OS only.
Okay.
That's
Oh,
just hard
Desktop
to count.
desktop
Yeah.
slash sure.
Okay.
You know what I mean. Not a mobile OS.
Okay.
So no firewalls either.
Can't give you firewalls, sorry.
Okay.
Virtual firewalls.
Can't give you virtual
All right.
firewalls.
No.
We're good. We're good.
What do you got?
I got 7.
7?
I got 5.
About 6 at the count them out though.
I'm gonna go with 8. Yeah.
Let me think. Laptop, work laptop, NUC,
Now,
virtual host.
what percentage of your machines are physical versus virtual?
The physical versus virtual game I can give you. I got 4 physical and 4 more virtual.
Okay, because I got 4 physical and 1 virtual that I access on about a weekly basis outside of work.
Yeah. Of course. I mean, at work I've got I don't even want to count.
Yep.
So I've got the MacBook Air here. I've got the
Mm-hmm.
MacBook at work. I've got the iMac here. The iMac runs Windows 7 as well as Mac OS.
Oh, we're counting dual booting. Oh,
I told you this.
whoa.
Any desktop operating system that you log into. I've got a Windows 98 VM on there, so I can
Somebody
play
wanted
Titanic,
to fluff their
Adventure
numbers
Beyond.
here.
Yep.
So we're only talking.
I
desktop
told you
operating
all of
system?
this.
I don't know if I got that part.
Too bad we're not recording, so we can't verify.
Recording? Oh, whoops. What? I don't know what that joke means.
I said, too bad we're not recording, so we can go back and verify if you actually said that or not.
Oh.
But the joke is we are recording.
Oh.
At least-
I love how far that went over Thomas's head and how straight Dan played it.
No, I'm looking at the thing like, are we not recording? Did I not
What,
start the
what
recording?
does Dan
I'm
know?
watching your screen right
I
now.
don't
I can
think
see you're
anybody
not
except
recording.
you would know that.
All right, moving on.
Dan wouldn't.
Moving on. Everyone at home, send your numbers in. Show at pebkacpodcast.com, and I'll do something fun with the numbers. I'm talking to you, Cody. All right. Before we started recording, Dan had an excellent experience with Dell field support.
Oh, yeah, you
that
got
I
to
think
share
is
this.
worth sharing because a lot of times, if you're working with Dell or really any hardware provider, their support is included but only if you have them fix it. They're not going to send you out the components to fix it yourself because then they don't.
Most of the time they will. And it depends how invasive
depends
it
on
is.
what it is. Yeah, how
Laptops,
invasive it
they're
is.
pretty much on that they have to do it though, right?
I've done motherboard swaps without them before.
Really, on a laptop?
Yep, I
That's
told them I
actually
could do it.
surprising.
Yeah, I've also done that.
Yeah, because I'm like, I don't want to deal with people.
So what happened?
So, good buddy at work, coworker.
Yep.
Uh,
Does Dylan listen?
yeah, I think he does.
I
We'll
don't
say.
think there's a problem saying it.
Okay,
We'll
we'll
call
say Dylan.
him Walrus.
No, we already said Dylan's name.
We'll call him.
Even though you've already said his name.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
We
he's
could
gonna
bleep that out though, technically.
Yeah, but I'm not going to.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways,
So
so
Walrus's laptop.
he did a BIOS update and it bricked it for some reason. Probably our antivirus being too
So it's a Dell
too
what?
protective.
E620 or something crazy.
I had to whip it out of my bag. I'd have to take it out of my bag.
Yep, go ahead. We're watching.
But anyways, he did a BIOS update and it bricked it. It wouldn't boot your post anymore at all. So he's like, well, calls up Dell. They're like, yeah, we got to swap the motherboard because it's the freaking BIOS. It's pretty much toast.
Okay.
So so they come out. They send out this freaking clown. He's like, this is my first week.
Literally a clown.
It's my first week. I've only taken apart 2 laptops so far. It's like, oh, it's all right. I'm sure they told you that about the freely downloadable service manuals you can get.
Sounds about right.
I don't think he knew about that. I'm pretty sure they just like found him laying on the side of a street, felt him for a pulse, and made sure he was breathing.
He probably
That
killed
you got a
himself.
job, and hired him. But anyways, he took apart the laptop. Took him only about like 6 or 7 hours
Oh my god!
because he
6
did
or 7 hours.
because he didn't know about the service manual.
Was he checking and rechecking every
to tell you how
thread
to
that he
take everything
unscrewed,
apart
or
and
what?
everything. So
How does it take 6 or 7 hours just to take apart a laptop? Even if you don't know what you're doing.
Right. There's like 12 screws in the bottom, and it just falls apart.
Even today, in
these
today's
ones,
age,
to his credit, these ones were I had to download the manual because I couldn't figure it out because it was like really weird. It was like encased in 3 layers of plastic. It was
okay.
weird.
All right. Well, what was his name?
I don't know at all. I didn't talk to him.
What was his service number?
I don't know. I didn't talk to him. Anyways, so he took it apart, swapped the motherboard, put it back together. I'm like, cool, okay. Dylan turns it on, it boots, it's fine. Then he notices the front panel LEDs for like power, hard drive activity, wireless, and everything were coming on. It's like, whatever. There's those tiny ribbon cables in there. He probably just forgot it. He was new. I'll give him a break. Whatever, no big deal. So I took apart the laptop a couple days later because Dylan's fan was just running at 100%, like constantly, and the computer was slow as hell.
Yeah.
So we're like, maybe
That's
there,
a good sign.
maybe there's like maybe that cable had some like temperature probe attached to it too, or something weird like that. So so I crack it open, plug it back in, put everything back together, it boots up just fine. And lights come on the front panel, but we're still having the same issue. We're like, well, Dylan's like, I'm busy. I got to just live with it.
Right.
So he's living with it. And 1 month later, this week, basically, he decides he's had enough. The performance has just been shit on it.
Yeah.
Super slow. And the fan still like revs all the way up, revs down, just doing really weird, erratic behavior. So it's like, it's got to be a driver issue. Wipes it, puts upgrades from Windows 7 to 8.1. When I say upgrade, like he completely wiped it, did a fresh install of 8.1. But like immediately, it was like just shutting itself off and just having all sorts of issues. Super slow.
Thermal shutdown.
Well, we didn't know that at the time.
Okay.
So he goes into the BIOS and looks at the logs and notices, thermal shutdown.
Okay.
So what the hell? So I'm like, well, because when I was putting the computer back together the first time, or taking it apart, I noticed he put screws in the wrong place. The plastic was cracked, and then the cable. So I was like, I wouldn't doubt if he.
So he did forget to plug the cable back in for the front controller.
He
of
did,
those
yep.
lights and anything
Yep,
else.
I found it right away.
Got
It was just hanging there. You could see it when he took off the first layer of plastic. It's hard to
Awesome.
describe, but
How do you glance over that? And,
it was a pretty tiny cable, but he should have known.
right.
Tell me he didn't forget thermal paste on the process.
That's what I thought. I thought he forgot the thermal paste or forgot to take the little protective piece of plastic off from
Yeah,
the pre-applied
yep.
thermal paste.
Yep.
So I opened it up, take everything apart.
That's a mistake you only make once.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I take it apart, and
Twice if
I'm
you're
like
lucky.
looking. I'm like, wait, where's the fucking heatsink? I'm like, I'm like turning pieces over and looking, and like everywhere. I'm like, I look at Dylan. I'm like, I think he forgot to put the fucking heatsink back in. This thing
so
was
what
running.
kills me about this is you got a remote tech a field tech to come to your office and repair this.
Dylan did because he didn't want any of us to have to deal with it.
But it was a guy who came to your office.
Yep.
Okay, so he should have known what he came there with. Okay, and he's like, okay, I'm taking these apart. I'm taking this, it's probably like a 3x2 or piece of copper.
It's pretty
I'm taking this off. Putting it back together. What's this? He throws it in his bag,
Right.
Or he just
And
never
goes home?
Or he just never. Well,
or pitches it in the garbage.
Right, exactly.
He just sweeps off the mess into the trash
Just
can.
put the whole thing back together and
But
be
he
like,
left.
well,
He left screws behind. Like
This is what really
it was.
killed me.
It was the typical you put
Yeah.
it back together and there's more screws left over. There's screws left over, so he
That's
knows he fucked
awesome.
something up, but didn't care.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure Dylan just let him go. Yeah, whatever. I need my computer back because he's been working on this for 6 fucking hours. But a quick disclaimer though: these techs that come out do not work for Dell. They're
Oh,
all,
really?
They're all they're all
God.
vendors. They're partners.
Which is weird because Dell has a
there's
pretty big
one-
presence here
There's
in
one
the metro.
So Dell
Or
uses
they used to. I don't know
Yeah.
if they still do.
Dell.
they
They
do.
do Eden Prairie.
Definitely
yep,
still do,
compellant.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So they have
And more
two.
than that,
They have
too.
two vendor or partners they work with. I can't remember the first one, but that's where the guy was from. The second one is Unisys. Unisys does stuff for like IBM and everything. So this isn't a Dell only thing. Like IBM uses them, but Unisys has generally been pretty good to me. Like I used them for a server once. I can't remember where,
But
but
it's hardware. I mean,
I know.
you
Right.
should have a basic understanding of taking things apart and putting back together. That's
Well,
like
you remember back in
day
college, some of
one.
the people. Bob
Oh, yeah.
Henderson is one of them.
Not to
fucking
name
burn in
names.
hell, motherfucker.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I talked to
Yeah.
I talked to
Let's-
somebody that knows
let's move on.
Okay. Okay.
But no, I know exactly what you mean. Like people who would, we had these like test computers in a lab, and they would like bend the pins up on them, or they would, they would fucking break them for sure.
Put RAM
Yeah.
in backwards. Yep.
Fucking dumbass.
And just keep pushing because everything requires force.
It's like just you'll feel it click into place. Oh, just keep pushing it. Which how can you even do? There's a plastic separator.
It will slide
That-
off the table at one point. At
You're
one
pushing
point,
so hard.
you will push it off the table, and that is when you know the RAM is adequately mounted.
That's when you know you
It's
can
like
stop
shoved up.
pushing.
There it goes.
So to finish the story,
Yes, please.
like yesterday or something like that, they had to send out another tech who was much more competent, but they
It's
didn't.
from the same location
But-
or organization.
No, the Unisys corporate.
Okay,
Unisys
so it
company.
wasn't the same guy. Or same
It wasn't. It
company.
wasn't. So, but they never sent him. They never shipped him the screws for the heatsink. So once again, we're like, okay, Dylan, and then Dylan's like, "Fuck this! You know what? Take the laptop back.
Yeah.
That way, you guys can have it in your cute little warehouse with all the parts you need to reassemble this fucking thing.
Yeah.
And just send me a new one. So that's what they're gonna do. Send a new one.
Oh my God.
What a mess.
And that sucks too. I mean, not only just the fact that it's your work computer, but if you are even slightly remote, like if you go to customer sites or something like that, and you don't have your laptop,
Oh, God,
that
it sucks. Yeah.
So you take a loaner laptop, it doesn't have any of your toolkit on it.
Right.
Or you have to use a desktop and you're like tied to the desk so you can't even leave to take a
Or
laptop somewhere.
you lack admin permissions on it, which is a
Exactly.
nightmare.
Yeah.
I had that one. That was real fun. This was a fun field story. I flew to like Toledo, Ohio to
Okay.
install a firewall at a retail location.
Okay.
And
Can you tell us what the retail
I
location was?
prefer not to.
Can you tell us the category or genre? Was it a sporting goods
sporting
store?
goods, actually.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, all right.
Okay. So it was about a 70,000 square foot retail location. I dropped in 7 access points.
Okay.
I mean, that thing was just fucking blanketed with Wi-Fi by the time
Right.
I was done. And I was using the high gain outdoor one. So it was like, do you feel your nuts getting warm? Because I do. That
That's a
means you
good
got
sign.
good coverage.
Your
sign.
brain
Right.
is getting cooked.
So when the staging guys staged the firewall I did, it was a non-standard firewall. We didn't use this model very often, but it was a big deployment, so it got the good shit. They didn't roll back the firmware because it always comes with the new firmware on it when it's like the new firmware doesn't really work.
Yeah, don't use it.
And I didn't build a configuration around the new firmware. I built it
Sure.
around the old firmware. So I had to roll it back. Well, shit. Okay. There should have been a console cable in this box, too. There isn't.
That's one of the things that they forgot to repack.
Right. Okay. Well, I do have oh, shit. I left my USB serial adapter behind because I usually have a jump terminal on my cube that I use for all this, so I don't use it on this laptop before. Okay, well, I'll just go to Radio Shack and buy one. No big deal.
Jump terminal, for those who don't know, is a machine that you have access to that you can. Basically, it's a little bitch that you connect to do anything you need to.
Basically, I had a box under my desk, which used to be my old primary
Yeah.
PC, that I had like 6 or like 3 or 4 serial ports on, so I could connect it
NICs,
there.
a few serial ports.
Exactly.
Yep.
It was just a bitch that I could log into, and then just so I didn't have to change my main
She did what
machine.
you told her to.
Exactly. So I go and I'm like, okay, how do I get a serial cable? Oh, I can find the pinout for a serial cable. Cool. I'll just make one out of a spare Ethernet cable and DB9 connector. I bought a Radio Shack. No problem there. Get that figured out. Hey, USB serial adapter. That should work just fine. Grab that off the shelf. Oh, $40. Okay, well, whatever. It's going on the expense account anyway. Get back to the store, plug in USB serial adapter, and go, I can't put these drivers in. The office had issued me a new laptop when they switched over to this new system when they got bought. So they're like, okay, here you go. And they didn't give anybody admin privileges.
Wah, wah, wah.
Right. Nobody had local admin. So
Yeah.
I literally called our IT help desk, which is supposed to be like equivalent to that. I'm like, you get me those fucking admin privileges or this entire trip was worthless and it's on your guys' ass. Like,
Right.
staging and IT are the ones that fucked this one up for me. I'm not taking any hits for this one.
Right.
And they're just like, well, we can't do it. And I'm like, I wound up using the customer's laptop to re-image the damn thing. Yeah.
If you don't have a way, make one. That's for sure.
I came back to IT and I just threw it on their desk and I said, this is a worthless piece of shit to me. It has absolutely no use in the field and you will get me something that works right or I will be gone. Goodbye.
Wow. Oh, hell.
It's like you wasted 3 days of my life sending me to this location and then fucking don't give me the right tools. That just pisses me off more than anything.
I think more people in IT should be exposed to field work.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, you have to get drop shipped into something.
Yeah.
And just MacGyver, do whatever you have to figure it out.
I wound up in
because
Toledo.
you're going to learn
Yeah.
what you're doing.
Yeah, you learn up pretty quick.
Toledo,
everything.
Ohio.
You can't sit and Google shit in front of a customer or whatever. You know,
Right.
you got to do it.
You know how I flew into Toledo, Ohio? On a plane
I was going
with
to say on a plane.
I was
two
gonna say too.
fucking rows on it.
Little couple of propellers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I got to look at that thing the whole way. That's real confidence inspiring there.
I have a better one for you.
Go on.
This is a sidebar, but I'm gonna do it for you. So there's a flight that flies from Minneapolis
Yep.
to Sioux Falls, South Dakota,
Yep.
and
Probably very similar to the flight that flies from Minneapolis to Grand Forks.
probably
Is it like that shady half-drunk pilot who's like, yeah, she's an old bitch, but she's going to hang in there, like slapping the console to make it run right and stuff?
yeah. And the thing you'll notice if you ever take this flight is that there's a lot of space between every seat. Like there's a lot of leg room, which is phenomenal. But you're maybe wondering, why is there so much leg room?
Yeah.
And so this flight, and they do it, all the time, daily, and it was a cargo plane that was converted to a passenger plane. They had
Okay.
48 seats on there, and that was all great. And their pilots did not have enough flight time to be able to fly
Oh,
48
no.
passengers
Oh.
around. So they took
That's
half of the seats out.
sad.
So now it's a 24-person flight
That's
because they don't have
frightening.
enough people, or they don't have enough flight time to fly that many people. So now you can.
Oh, my God.
They have enough
that's
flight time
awesome.
to fly 24 people around.
So when
Billy
they get the hours in, they just put the other seats back in.
I don't know about that part, but yeah.
Or they fire the pilot because
That's
he's too
crazy.
valuable now.
Wow.
yeah.
That's sad.
That one's a little bit more.
I thought it was
concerning
gonna be
when you
like
hear
because the average American weighs too much.
Yeah,
now, so they have to
that's-
take up.
yeah.
like, they can't seat as many in there, so it's like, well, let's rip the seats out or something.
It's like they got a load of fatties from the cheddar cheese dog convention in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And they were like, she can't make it, Captain. She's just not going to go.
Can't reach the button. Oh hell! Speaking of ridiculous vehicles, DEF CON not Snapshot. Another little.
No, it was a.
Please enlighten us.
Yes. So we talked about this a little bit. What was it? 2 weeks ago, I
It's
think.
2 or 3
now.
weeks ago at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
Basically, the Chrysler hack where
Yes.
from over the internet I can turn your car off. Is a real
Exactly.
thing now.
So remember how we said like, okay, but it's pretty cool right now if you're not having a Chrysler, because they had to get their hands on a Chrysler in order to invade it and figure out how to hack the media center and pivot and all that stuff. And that took, like, they put a significant amount of effort into one brand of car
Yes.
and model. Yeah, that's not true anymore. There was I want to say, French insurance company that was using a specific provider's dongle for, you see the snapshot. It's not snapshot. I'll say
I mean,
this.
everyone's familiar with the concept of sticking something into is it DB? what's it called?
OBD2.
OBD2.
Yeah, Onboard Diagnostics 2.
Everyone's familiar with this. You get the snapshot from Progressive. Dan told us once about his automatic or automotive?
Automatic.
So it's this little sensor you plug into your connector, and it tells you things about your car. It records things. The snapshot one sends data to your insurance company, so you get better rates.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's accomplishing the same thing. It's another of the same line. It has a cellular modem on board, and it basically transmits that data back to your insurance company.
Right.
Well, some guys found out that they didn't set these up right, and most of them were shipped in diagnostic mode.
That's frightening.
Whoops. Hey,
That's
guess what?
Unfeathered access to the whole device.
So literally the thing's level of communication over the SIM card was supposed to be text messages. It was literally just supposed to text like velocities and mileage and various basic information to the headquarters like once a day or something like that. It didn't. It was in diagnostic mode, and that means it had a full SSH access to
That's terrifying.
Yes.
That's
So
How many people had this? How many people were impacted? You'd say
there are thousands of customers with this product.
Awesome.
It's not a huge insurance company, but it is a present one.
Sure.
And they found that, okay, well, with that device, then we can pivot again and start sending commands down the CAN bus and OBD2 ports and such. So they actually demoed it by cycling the brake system on a Corvette whilst parked. So they literally just sat back and said, here's my phone, here's an app I wrote, and I'm going to press this. And do you hear that loud clicking noise? That's the Corvette's brake controller firing because I'm pushing the button.
That's awesome.
With the car off, by the way.
That's awesome. So basically, are they still doing a similar hack where they are talking to the media center system, or is this a Bluetooth?
So
within range, I can access that device.
No, it's cellular, but it's not
it's going over the cellular network. Because this thing, what has an IP address?
It's basically
IP, or what?
CAN bus protocol. When you connect to it, it's basically serial.
Okay.
It's just serial data moving back and forth, more or less.
And you have access to everything in the vehicle.
Yes.
Everything is computerized.
Yeah. So
which is everything.
Everything on the CAN bus is a car network. So everything in the car basically talks to this, from the traction control to the transmission to the engine control to the media center, all that stuff. So the media center aspect of it on the Chrysler thing was that the media center was just a jump point. That's where the cellular modem was installed.
That was the jump server underneath your desk.
So they hacked it and they pivoted, and then they were able to control everything by issuing commands from the media center. This time, you don't need an interface with the media center because they've basically given you an SSH terminal with a COM port on it in a handy device that you can plug into any car.
Got it.
Yeah.
So this isn't, the insurance company wasn't at fault here.
No, it was
because they're obviously licensing this tool from someone else.
Correct.
They were at fault. So are their systems compromised, or is it just these devices that got in the wild?
Just these devices. It was a fairly significant margin of like a majority of the ones that were shipped, because just no one has a security consciousness of vehicles at this point.
So Dan, knowing this and this whole Chrysler business, are you worried about having an automatic plugged into your car?
No.
Not at all.
Nope.
Tell me why you're not worried about that.
First of all, they are not only hold on. So there's no cellular radio in it. It's Bluetooth only.
Yeah.
All the better, in my opinion, for me, the motion person, though, right?
On top of that, they're using the Bluetooth security standards. Like there's a little code etched on it. You have to type into the automatic app to pair.
That's good.
Is it
That's
a unique
good.
code per device?
Yes.
Or
It's
so
etched
not
on
just-
each one
No,
individually.
it's just 0, 0, 0, 0. It's the same thing I used to pair my headphones with.
You have no idea how many OBD2 readers I've messed with over the
absolutely.
years, and
Sure,
they're
I
all
believe
0,
it.
0,
I
0, or
believe
1,
it.
2, 3, 4.
Yep. Same
Okay, so it's got
same
that.
thing with Bluetooth headsets. There's actually a guy that had got a Bluetooth range extender, or he built one, and he would connect to people's freaking like Bluetooth headsets, and he could like hear their phone calls or like take them over.
Yep.
and all this stuff. So it's
I would
kinda
just
scary.
sit there and I just like have a microphone hooked up to it and I just start talking in their ears. It's me. How are you?
Yeah, you could.
Real creepy like.
How about a little bit of
on
thrash
top of
metal
the-
today?
Little Oakley Dokley.
Oh, Killy, Killy.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I remember seeing that.
It's
it's
the Norwegian metal band or something.
a
The
yeah.
Flanders metal band.
It's a Norwegian Flanders from The Simpsons metal band. It's awesome. So on top of the Bluetooth security they do the whole encryption thing between your device and then their servers and
So
all
if
that.
the application was compromised, if your phone was compromised.
If the app was somehow compromised, yeah, they could maybe, but
But that's just reading data from your car. It's not necessarily transmitting to it.
No,
right.
If you're interfacing with the OBD2 device, it's fairly trivial
into
action to start pushing data the other way.
They would have to write a custom firmware for the automatic adapter.
That's what I'm saying. The adapter itself is probably only programmed to take and
Yeah,
I
send
doubt
out.
it because most of those are just a
They
serial.
they just did a blog
serial
post about
interface.
this.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but what I'm saying is most of the OBD2 adapters that you get are literally the cheap Bluetooth serial adapter
Right.
meeting certain specifications for OBD2 communication. That's
Okay.
about it. OBD2 communication is more or less straight serial. So it's really, really simple stuff to feed data back into this system.
Shane's got like
Okay, here
one
we go. I got the
eyebrow
list.
up and one down. His hair's like sticking up. You're very tinfoil hat right now, by the way.
So this is how the automatic adapter works. They generate a per device 128-bit AES symmetric encryption key during manufacturing. They're stored on automatic servers and enable secure setup and firmware updates. The servers on their manufacturing line and the servers at automatic that store the security key are not connected to the open internet, but rather communicate with each other over direct and secure HTTPS connection.
That's impressive.
The adapter's firmware has a whitelist of messages that can be sent to the car, so arbitrary or malicious messages can't be sent to the car's communications bus. The adapter limits the rate at which messages can be sent to the communications bus. Since a unique pin etched into the device is required to operate the device, you must have access to both the automatic adapter and the interior of the car in order to connect to the adapter.
Well, that right there, I mean, it can't be used to send anything maliciously. That right there kind of tells me, and it can only be talked to by automatic. It sounds like.
All their servers communicate over HTTPS. Authenticity of our firmware updates are protected with RSA 1024 signature and 128-bit encryption, and they enable Bluetooth security mechanisms, but they don't rely on them. And they use device-specific encryption key to create a unique 128-bit AES session.
Damn.
So that is
They have quite a bit.
ridiculously impressive.
They have
Yeah,
quite a
that
bit
is very
sprinkled on
impressive,
top. Yeah.
It's almost like that little code that you have to type in when you look at it. That's just for you, the consumer, to be like, oh yeah, it's secure, without even knowing half of it, what's underneath. All right, next thing on my list here, probably the biggest news. Coming out of Silicon Valley, ABZ.XYZ, Google, and their parent company, Google Inc., is no longer Google Inc. It is Alphabet. Alphabet now owns Google and a sundry of other products and companies. And basically, this is, as I have read and understand it, it's for investors to better understand where money is going and coming from as far as the core business is concerned. You know, I'm investing in your company. I want to know the returns based on search, not like all this, moonshot shit you're doing, right? Not a whole lot to the consumer. It doesn't really mean a whole lot to you guys. It is going to shake things up, I think, within Google. I think we are going to see a lot more stuff springing up from Alphabet now. A lot more things that were kind of side projects at Google that are probably going to come out of the woodwork now and start popping up.
Well, it really allows a lot of products and different stuff they're working on to escape the Google name.
Right.
So like
self-driving car.
Right.
Perfect
It's
example.
like, why is that it's not a search thing. It's a
Exactly.
AI, autonomous, operational,
Yes.
cool,
Yes.
whatever. But it doesn't necessarily have to fly the Google flag and how they're going to handle
exactly
it.
it.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So if Google wants to go into cars, it's going to be really weird if it's like, drive the
Google
new
car.
Google XL4. Like,
Yeah.
okay, no.
But so now you're going to get, maybe we'll see a TV product, a really good Android TV product come out.
So Android is
That's
still
not-
under Google.
I'm sorry, not I'm trying to say Google TV without saying Google TV. So
Okay.
my brain next went to Android.
Okay.
We're going to see a TV with firmware from Google, but not be called the Google TV. Like we're going to see this be successful now. Is Google Fi still them, or is that going to be moved?
Google
out?
Fi is still them at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, because I believe that's part of the Android project.
It's really their moonshot kind
Yep.
of ideas. Like we're gonna
So-
send Wi-Fi balloons up in the air kind of thing.
I gotta ask, I posted this on my Facebook. Did you see the explain it like I'm drunk on the alphabet thing?
No, please
Okay.
tell me.
This is going to take me a couple of minutes to do, and you're welcome to cut it if you want, but I'd love to read this because it's a fucking hilarious post that explains this whole thing.
All right. Well, if anyone doesn't want to hear this, just fast forward to 2 minutes.
Or
ahead.
Thomas can completely cut it if it's stupid.
I'll do that
I'm
too.
trying to fast forward.
Okay.
Right now. It's not
Just
working.
close your eyes.
So-
and fast forward.
This is posted by Lililiililil. Yes, that's their username on
I'm
Reddit.
already cutting this shit.
Yep. Okay. Explain it like I'm drunk version. Let's say I'm a dad. Let's say I had 3 kids, and they've got some pretty solid skills with instruments. You've got Johnny on the guitar, Samantha on the drums, and Lisa slapping up the bass. So they get to the idea of making a band, and what do you know? They're pretty damn good. Everyone's playing together well, and they've got a good harmony going on. They decide to call their little band Google, and I start inviting over some neighborhood parents to the living room to see them play once a week. Everything's going well, and I say, fuck it, time for another kid. So I just go out and buy another kid or something because that's how the world works in this story. So little Brian
that.
joins the family, and what? He's fucking good at guitar, too. He's got a bit of a different sound, but it works with the band, and all the parents who come over that weekend are impressed. I say, fuck it, time for another kid, and go back to the kid store and get another one. So little Girthen Klops, fuck you, it's my kid. I'll name it what I want.
Girthen Klops.
She doesn't really like instruments that much, but she likes slapping together some shit, and she's into being in the band. So we give her some wood blocks, and she meshes pretty well with the band, with some well-timed clickety-clacks here and there. Parents that week are still impressed, but a little unsure if wood blocks is starting to get a bit away from the rest of the band. But they're still digging it, and Girthen Klops is really doing some good work on the clackers. Fuck it, kid store, get a new kid. Fucking name it Boot Shoes. Because to the family, Boot Shoes. Welcome to the family, Boot Shoes. Well, he doesn't like any instruments. He can't even keep a beat, but he wants to be in the band somehow. Turns out Boot Shoes is super into culinary arts. So parents come over that week. We got Johnny guitar, Samantha on drums, Lisa slapping the bass, Brian on rhythm guitar and just rocking away. Girthen Klops is hitting all the right marks, but it still seems a bit off in this kind of band. And then we got Boot Shoes up front towards the left, wearing an apron and chopping fucking onions. Parents are getting a bit confused here, and their attention is being divided. On one hand, you got a kick-ass band rocking out, and then you got a kid chopping onions and tomatoes and shit like a fucking pro. The band is better than ever, but the parents can't help to feel like something is a bit off here, and they're wondering if they're going to keep coming. So I buy a nice new big house, and let's see. So I buy a nice new big house at the house store, and we move the family in. I keep the original band in the living room during our odd weekly showings that for some reason other parents actually consistently coming to and move in. And move Brian into the den where he gets his own new band with a different sound up and running. I put Girthen Klops in the dining room and set her up with a nice, smooth-sounding orchestra. I put Boot Shoes in the fucking kitchen because Jesus Christ, kid, you can't be in a band. You chop fucking onions. That's not an instrument. That's fucking breakfast. And only one part of it. But goddamn, can you cut onions, son? I'm proud of you. So now the parents just walk to whatever the room they're most interested in, and it looks like we've got some nice organization and direction under one roof. Just had to create a little distance between all these talented kids. Onions? Fuck, man. Kids. And that's the story.
I love the explain it like I'm drunk. It should
Yep.
be explain it while Shane's drunk.
Or
So-
explain
What just
it while
happened right
like
now?
I'm high.
So Boot Shoes is the self-driving car.
Boot Shoes is
The
self-driving
new
car.
house is Alphabet.
Exactly.
There you go, folks. If anyone has to tell you, this is really funny because Cody was telling me about this because he heard about it or read about it before I even knew what was going on. And I guess him and his fiance have a little game where he'll say like a technical description of something like news-wise or a product,
Yep.
and then she'll like translate it to what she calls normal person, I think. So
Okay.
it's almost like that.
Yeah.
Is that a subreddit or is that just some guy who randomly?
So that
posted?
it was somebody who posted in the whole like Google announces alphabet.
Yes.
There's a whole discussion in there about what does this mean? What is this going on? And then he's like, fucking boot shoes, man, chopping onions.
Is there a explain it like I'm drunk webpage, Tumblr, subreddit?
I believe there's an
something?
entire explain it like I'm drunk subreddit.
Okay, good.
Yeah, because I know there is explain it like
and
I'm
I want to
five.
follow that guy. So Lilli, that guy.
There's a lot of L's and I's. In
Yeah.
there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Send me that because I'm going to put his Reddit username into the blog post this
I will
week.
make sure that you get that information for credit.
Absolutely. Thank you, Li.
Hilarious.
So this is going to be a dumb question / outdated question. I'm not a huge Reddit user. This is going to be a problem for probably most people.
Go on.
I think we talked about this. So subreddits are back.
Subreddits never went away.
Are you referring to like the popular ones that shut down in a
yes,
sympathy
the
strike?
whole
Yes.
huge explosion that happened when
That was like what, 2 weeks or not even?
No,
that
that was
they
a
were
month
all
ago.
Further away.
that they
yeah.
were all down for. They shut
It
the
was
doors.
about a week,
Was
actually,
it a week? Yeah.
for the duration. Everything moves faster in internet time.
Right.
So.
right. Oh, well,
Yes,
so it's
they all
back.
came back because
Everything's
of
good.
Victoria.
Yes.
Her last
So
name
Victoria didn't wind up back in,
Yeah.
but Chairman Powell, Ellen Powell,
Yeah.
got excised.
Oh,
So she's
surprise.
out.
left, right?
And then
That
there's
means
this
split in half
yeah.
with an anvil.
And there's a weird gray area on that whole thing about like, was she illegitimately excised because she came out and she's like, hey, now that I'm fired, I'm just going to tell all you guys that I was totally the one fighting for all your freedom of speech. So fuck all you.
You know
I'm
what,
out
though?
now.
I read some of her posts. Like, this is fun being fired. I'm going to tell you everything. I read her posts and listened to this stuff. I'm like, this isn't actually that clever or interesting. You're just, like... you're
I
just
feel
being
like
a-
she went and said,
Just
like,
angry.
Yeah.
That's all she is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no trade secrets that you're really
Yeah.
digging up here. But since Reddit is obviously not a public company, they don't need to disclose shit. So a lot of the stuff that's, quote unquote news is leaked from a source who's probably angry,
Yep.
or it's a bunch of nerds like us coming
That's-
up with like fictitious stories.
Yeah.
So take all of that with a grain of salt, because when they don't have to tell you the real deal because they're not public,
Right.
they can say, well, aliens came and said that we had to fire her, so we did, and we listened.
That's what I'm wondering with this whole thing is, was it the right action? Was she actually, because it wouldn't be really hard after you're fired from Reddit to go back on and be like, what were the reasons they wanted me fired? Oh, right, freedom of speech, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And be like, guess what? I was for all those things because internet and I can say whatever I want. Because she
Right.
has no posting history basically before.
I can make an account called
getting
Ellen Powell and
axed.
post all this, though, too,
Right.
right?
Well,
So-
no, she had a verified account. So
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
as an admin, you get that. But it was but she didn't have a post history before that at all saying like, yes, I'm in for freedom of speech. Yes, I'm in for this. She was very, very quiet across
So there's
the board.
absolutely no, not necessarily true. but
There's no
evidence to that.
history.
No history to
right,
back that
right,
up.
Exactly.
Right.
I'm fairly certain it was the alien thing that you mentioned.
It's got to be.
Sure.
I mean,
I mean,
Shmoo,
it's
come
like-
on.
It's like
Yep.
Paul. That's
like
what it is.
Paul, yeah.
So,
God, yes.
but a lot of people went over to vote after that. So
Yeah, have
new
you given that
replacement.
much time?
I tried to get onto it as much quickly as I can. I really wanted to see if I could be like the guy that recreates the Reddit subreddits that
Oh,
are
just start
popular.
creating like
Right.
funny.
Yeah,
and,
no, everybody else got that idea before me.
Yeah, that was probably
so,
pretty fast.
Yeah.
That was not nearly sensual enough.
Basically Reddit. It's like identical.
Yeah. Now they didn't do anything fun. Like, were you ever a Dig user? I think we've talked about this before.
I never got into Dig. No.
So when Dig was really going down the tubes, something like when they released the version 2 or version 3 of their software,
Software,
that
yeah.
basically took away the community capability to dig things up to the front page. That amongst like a lot of other stuff, like they were giving their top diggers like shit, and they weren't respecting them or something.
Yeah.
So everyone went over to Reddit, and Reddit made the homepage look like Dig that day.
Yes, I remember
So
hearing
you
about
can
this.
find like a snapshot of it, right, or a picture on images search, where the homepage of Dig is like the light blue.
Didn't they
dark
do, like-
blue,
like, didn't
and
it say, like-
Shmoo is dressed in a Dig shirt.
Didn't it say like welcome Dig or something
Yes.
like that too?
Yeah, and that's where like the valuation just tanked on Dig, and I think they ended up selling it for like a few $100,000, where previously they were offered some 35 or 50, some crazy million
Yeah.
number. It's all on Wikipedia. I mean, it's all public knowledge at this point because people like Kevin Rose are very outgoing about what
Right.
really went down.
I mean,
because
they were
he
the guys
left.
that founded a community like that, so they're pretty
Right.
public people to begin with.
Right,
so.
right. Ironically, not ironically, but interestingly enough, Kevin Rose is an advisor to Google Ventures now. So his e-boner is probably huge with this whole Alphabet thing because he's like, who wants to do something with Alphabet? Let's talk. Anyway.
I do remember a certain someone in our office very much being like, if Kevin Rose is there, like get his autograph and then like spoon him for me.
I didn't say the second half.
I could have sworn you did.
Said the first half. When our CEO went to talk to Google Ventures, I'm like, Kevin Smith is on that team now.
Kevin Rose.
Kevin Smith.
Not
That'd be
Smith.
fucking awesome. That'd be dope.
That would be some really weird shit coming
Right?
out of Google Ventures.
A walrus movie. Let's do it with Google Venture money.
All of my movies are getting made.
So
no matter how dumb I think
he
they are.
used to be he's actually an advisor now. Previously, he was part of like the group who would be like, "You want some money? Let's talk." Now he's more of an advisor and angel investor, where he's just like, "I got money. You got an idea? Let's talk." But no, he wasn't in this meeting. I was really upset. So,
Aw.
So I'm really actually pretty certain at this point that every one of the sub companies within Alphabet,
yes,
there should only be 26 of them, and they should all have an individual letter.
I think there should be annual fights to
Yes,
earn the
now we're
letter
talking.
status.
Correct. I mean,
So,
You
like,
have
the
to
CEOs
do something to get that status.
Right. If somebody else comes up, if it's like Google Car versus Google Caress
aha,
or something like
I
that,
like it.
the leaders of each group have to fight to the
Right.
death for the
'Cause there's
budget
only
for that letter.
26 funded projects.
You got it.
Beautiful.
Now here's a miss. How come G.xyz does not redirect to Google.com?
I think you should buy that.
Can we register it?
Every single one-letter domain is taken.
But
my
it's
friends.
XYZ subdomain.
Nobody's
Kurt.
got that
It's-
yet.
G.xyz. XYZ is a top-level domain.
Yeah, it's
It
top
is.
level
Go buy
domain,
it.
but maybe it's not
right.
registered.
Go to NetSol right now.
So I have. Okay, Grandpa, I'll go to Network Solutions to register my domain.
I'm not saying go register it there. I'm just saying go.
I wonder if Google actually bought that entire top level.
I don't think that's a thing you can do.
You totally can if you're a registrar.
I
Pretty sure
don't know
Google-
about that.
Google can do whatever they want. They're
Google
like
can't do
Apple.
it. As Thomas goes to domains.google.com to perform his domain search, G.xyz. If this is not taken, oh my God. Come
You're
on
gonna
now.
be
Come on
mad.
now. Come on now.
Google is just going to take it back from you. They're like,
Oh, G.xyz is not an extension supported by Google Domains. That's fucked up. All right.
I swear, I bet they bought that. I bet they
My
built that
grandpa's
entire
telling me to
top
go
level.
Network Solutions.
I bet they bought that. It just made that whole top level for themselves.
Sorry, I didn't mean to offend you there. You kind of like threw your hands up.
You know, you're kind of a dick.
Please
know.
enter a valid domain name composed of 3 or more characters.
They don't like the XYZ either.
No, they don't like the G.
Yeah, you need at least 3 in the.
Oh, for network
Posting,
solutions, they
yeah.
don't do single letter.
Well,
Really?
it's because I'm telling you that all single and double letter domain names are
Oh, yeah,
just
no.
immediately purchased.
I
when the
got
top
that
level
with
domain
like,
goes out.
but-
but there's
You could look them
how
up,
did
right?
it can't be everything when the media at the top level comes
Well,
out.
go to Dig. Dig
someone-
web interface.
Someone is buying up these just because they can. I mean, all you have to do to make some money, or at least in like, we were talking about Dig, so DIGG webinterface.com is taken. Fucking A, what were we just talking about? I'm drinking. Dig
Top
web
level
interface,
domains.
top level domains.
Individual
Oh,
character.
all you have to do to make money in like the year 2001 is buy up domains that are similar to
Yeah.
popular domains and just make money on Google AdSense.
I told you about that one I was thinking about buying. I think I should start an entire porn company based on that one.
What was it?
I almost don't want to say it because I don't want it to wind
Then
up
go
on the
buy it.
podcast.
Then go buy it.
I don't want to buy it.
It's $13.
I know. I can't decide.
You're such a pansy. G.xyz. Dig. Name server record. Nothing. But it does come back with a centralnick.net.
I'm pretty
SOA.
sure those single letters are reserved.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, they're
if
not
not
purchased.
reserved, they're taken, right?
They're just reserved, yeah.
Okay.
Like, you can't use them. They don't want you to use them.
Remember back in the day when domain names were free? God, I wish I had
They were.
I wish I was like over like 6
I
years
didn't
old.
know that.
Oh yeah.
How old are you?
I actually don't remember this from personal experience. I remember this from someone telling me that she got lifes.com because
Yeah.
because it was
I think you
free.
just gave away who said that then.
Why you gave me
Is-
grief for telling my email address
her
on
name
the
Lifes?
podcast. I'm like, it's public information.
Yeah. Okay.
Ah. All right.
So
Um,
is managed by whois.nick.xyz for the XYZ domain. So
Yeah, so I think
Referral.
Dan's right. I think it's probably reserved.
referral URLs are out of
It's like
xyz.com.
a reserved IP address.
Do you know who owns MicrosoftOffline.com?
I'm surprised you got that.
Boom. This
Yeah.
guy.
How did Microsoft not register that one?
So for the longest time, Microsoft Offline redirected to this beautiful drawn image of angry cat going no, and then I don't know what led me to get it or to go there, and it wasn't. I was gonna probably show someone, and it said page can't be displayed. I'm like, well, that's weird.
It's like that time when I went to Meatspin and it was available. I was like, oh shit.
When was that?
Yeah, this summer. I had expired and I put a reminder on my calendar to buy it up.
Oh
But
no!
I tried, but they
Somebody else got
they
it.
renewed it quick enough.
Oh,
I was so pissed.
fucking bust, man.
I was like, I want this.
What would you
want
have done with
Meatspin?
Meatspin?
Meatspin.com. I don't know. Put a picture of a hot dog spinning around.
Dude,
helicopter.
children's website. Just like spend a year
Redirect
What's
to
that?
develop this
Sorry, I
children's
think that's the NSA clicking into the podcast.
develop a children's website for
The
like a
NSA,
year,
the FBI.
and then one day go back to the original content.
redirect,
yeah.
Out of left field.
redirect it to
That's
Google or
diabolical.
something.
Or on your
Exactly.
web
Like
server, like after 30 seconds, it just redirects to meatspin.com. No,
Oh,
I think
it's a
if you
kid's site
bought
on
that
everything.
domain, you'd have to keep it meatspin.
Mhm.
But put the ads on the page to be
Oh, yeah.
your account.
They have to be clicked though to get any money.
No, some of
no,
them
there's
pay on
something like a
loads.
referral just by viewing the link or just by having the link.
You
right?
have to click the ad.
You have to click
You
it.
have to click the ad. I've done AdSense campaigns before. You have
Oh.
to
Okay.
click the ad.
Yeah, and who's going to click a? Who's going to say that they got referred from meatspin?
but I
Wait a
thought,
minute.
like,
Wait a minute. No, that's how it
Shadier-
works. Yeah.
Shadier ads will do it via page load. Like Pirate Bay,
That's-
come on, man.
So
Is it making
there's a
money
lot
off
of
Pretty shady.
yeah.
there's a lot of people who will post links on forums, even on Reddit, to like it'll be like an imager link, for instance, right? But that's the display text. The actual link is their ads, not AdSense, but their ad URL.
Yeah.
That you have to sit and watch for 10 seconds, and then it'll redirect to the actual
Yep.
link. Fuck those guys
Mhm.
who do that.
I mean, not as much that thing, but what Shane said just now, that's bordering on cross-site scripting.
Right.
I mean, it's not quite there, but it's pretty much there.
What?
Yeah.
Because you're taking someone's information from viewing your website and sending it to an ad server
just because,
and collecting
well,
their
no,
data?
you're making something happen without a user intervention.
Right. Okay.
But I don't necessarily mean like loading a page or anything like that. There's some like just on the image load
Right.
would count as a not a penny, but probably like a tenth of a penny or something.
But this is why
transactionally.
you give Google AdSense like the best real estate on your page, and you use the whatever technology that can basically scan the browser's cookies and display super relevant advertising. Like that product you were looking at on Amazon, it's an ad on my page now.
Right.
So in case I didn't say earlier, I bought MicrosoftOffline.com, and for a while I had this App Engine app that was doing up-down checks on all of Microsoft web pages, thinking I was going to make it big. And then I submitted a request to AdSense, and they're like, "You don't have enough content on your page." I'm like, "Fuck you!" And I told them to, And then I looked at the bill, and it cost me like $4 to run it that month, and I'm like, "I'm out. I'm already $14 in for the domain or whatever because I got the domain and the Hydra who is shit."
Well, and that's the thing is that if Microsoft ever wants to buy that from you, they're gonna be like, you know what, you're
They-
a troll.
They can have it though. I
Just-
mean, they
yeah.
technically can get it because
Right.
it's trademarked.
Right.
So as long as they go after it and pursue it, I have to surrender it.
Yeah.
But I even said this the day I bought it to whoever was there, even if I didn't know them. I said, I hope I get a letter from Microsoft. That's all I really
Yeah,
want.
You just
wanted
want
to-
to put it on the wall. Huh?
wanted to frame
right
that
next
one.
to your.
Yeah, it's behind me on the desk. The
Well, I would
DNCA
counter.
notice.
I would counter. I'd be like, I will give you the domain. but I want like a personal letter from Steve Ballmer saying how awesome of a guy I am and like signed or something like. You're
I'm gonna
like
go fuck myself.
Why are you
I just
sticking
think
with
it's
Steve?
funny
Just-
that
I
they
keep going
didn't
back to, like,
already
him as a
request
boss.
Sanjay.
because I don't
Nihal Patelia.
because
No,
I'm
that's not
I'm
the
a
guy.
I'm
racist
joking.
and I don't acknowledge him as a CEO.
Wow.
But he's done more for Microsoft than
he really
Ballmer
has.
ever did.
Yeah,
Ballmer was a sitting CEO.
yeah.
Like
screaming
Microsoft
CEO.
is doing better now than they were for the last, I would say, 10 years for sure.
That's for sure. That's very true.
I'm sorry, I got confused. AdSense with AdWords. AdSense, you get different rates per click or
Yes.
per impression.
Yes. an
Impression is
the
viewed.
view.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
AdWords is the that's just buying ad space on the top of
Exactly,
Google search
yep.
results.
Yep.
But anyway, I can't believe Microsoft hasn't, and not just contacted me, but contacted the guy who previously owned this. I'll say guy because girls aren't stupid.
I
enough
think
to
it's
buy
because
that shit.
they're switching away from Microsoft Online.
They buy shoes.
I mean,
instead of domains.
but they've had that property for years, right? They've had Microsoft Online for a long time.
Yeah, they're going to Office.com now. So
Yeah, sort of like a universal.
yeah.
Yeah. Coca, get down.
dog
All right.
invasion.
Well, Coca's getting restless. I gotta go take her outside. We'll go ahead and put the proverbial pin in the wall here and come back to this maybe at a later time. Maybe I will get that letter from Microsoft and we can read it on the air and have a good laugh. For the Pebkac podcast, though, thank you for listening. Oh, wait. First, before we go, jerseystudios.net. Big overhaul to that site. Big overhaul to all the podcast pages, pebcacpodcast.com, braininvaders.info, and laughinghour.com. Much thanks to Dan for hosting all of that and making sure it all works because it works seamlessly. But head over to jerseystudios.net, links to information about the Jersey Crew, all the shows, and the YouTube channel, and a little teaser there for a shop. I'm toying around with some merch ideas. So check that out, please, and thank you. For the Pebkac podcast, my name is Thomas.
I'm Dan.
I'm Shane.
And I'm Mike.
And remember, when you are troubleshooting, the first step is to reboot. The second step is to update Adobe Reader. And the third step is to call that Dell Field Tech and have them fix your laptop. Thanks. Have a good night.
Dicks.
Yeah.